It is absolutely ignorant to believe that the gym is all you need. This is More Than Muscle. Today we're going to dive deeper into the whole before and after. You know how everyone really wants to post these before and afters, and I want to help you understand a little bit more about the afters. There's a reason why I continue to put this out there. I continue to put after the afters out there because, one, no one does it. And I haven't seen anyone do it anyway. And the reason why I do it is because I want people to understand that what is actually sustainable is absolutely critical. Now, what I mean by that is anyone can do a 6 or 12 week journey. Okay. Anyone. It doesn't take that much out of you. It's a pretty surface level approach. Most of the time, you'll be given some form of like a diet or something to follow for a short amount of time. And you know that you can commit to that time because it's short. And especially if it's like something like 30 days even. And so after that, most of the time you just resort back to some old habits. The reason why I really push after the afters is because I want to really help people change their behaviors. Now, it's very different to get someone to follow a plan versus change their behavior. And, you know, human behavior, it's been studied for so long, and yet most people don't want to address it because they don't know how. And in the world of fitness, no one knows how to address human behavior. They have no clue how to address it. But it's very, very important to do this. And here's why. When we look at human behavior, we're always looking at what are the patterns of thinking that you have been established since you were young. These patterns of thinking have been coming from all of the experiences that you've had, whether they are good or bad. In other words, if you have had a lot of negative experiences, your patterns of behavior are going to come from patterns of thinking that are negative. Same thing is true for the positive. So, for example, let's use nutrition as an opportunity here. If you had a negative experience and you saw someone through that in a negative experience resort to food as a comfort for them, right? For them to feel a little bit better. That pattern of thinking is, well, nutrition or food is actually a way to comfort you. So I can do that when I'm older. You don't know that this is happening because this is literally what is going on in your brain because you're seeing it, especially when you're younger. And later on in life, you go and then do it. So you see food as a comfort. Same thing is true for like a reward or a punishment. Now, let's say that you went and did something good as a kid and you got rewarded by maybe going to a nice restaurant or you got rewarded with food. So then when you, later on in life, achieve something, you go, well, I can treat myself because it's a reward system. And this is why patterns of behavior have been established most of the time when you're younger, when you're in your early, like 5, 6 years old, up to 10. And then again, you know, around that like 13, 14, a lot of the time, this is where our brains are really watching the world. We're really watching people around us. We're really kind of like looking at what they are doing and understanding it for ourselves, but it doesn't come out till later. We're talking like in your 30s. This is typically when it comes out. And the reason why this is so important is because what happens is that 5 pounds or that 5 kilos, that 10 pounds or that 10 kilos somehow starts to kind of pack on. Somewhere along the way, you know, you stopped being so into sport or fitness. You stopped really taking care of yourself. You started to prioritize your family. Maybe you started to prioritize, you know, your job. And all of a sudden you're like, where did this extra weight come from? You know, and you think to yourself, how did this even happen? I eat pretty well. Most of the time people say they eat well, they don't. But anyway, and so when this is happening, you kind of put on the weight. So then you kind of go, I've got to do something about this. So you join a program, you join the gym, you join something. And then you go, okay, for 3 months, I'm going to lock in. I'm going to do what I need to do. So you go along the way and you go and eat well and you start to like prioritize what you're doing. Maybe you track some calories. You start to focus on your protein target for the day and you drop the weight back, right? And then 3 months goes by and you're doing well. You're like, I put the weight off. But then something else happens. You kind of go, well, now that I've lost the weight, you start to, you know, fall back into some of these old patterns of thinking because you didn't break the patterns of thinking. You just literally created this surface level approach where you just changed what you were eating. You didn't change your behavior about how you, respond to achievements. You didn't change your behavior about how you respond to stress. You didn't do any internal work to think about how you respond to any kind of struggles or any type of lack of sleep, anything like that. You just changed how you eat, and you changed how much you're moving your body. That's really all you did. Now, those two components are pretty surface level. And I think we can agree on that because they're just basically someone saying, move your body more and eat less processed foods. Very simple approach. What happens is after 3 months goes by or 6 months goes by, you start to go back into those ways of thinking because you didn't change the thought patterns, did you? You just thought, I can go to the gym and I can eat well. This is where most of the time people actually have a very hard time with keeping the weight off. And so the reason why I put on After the Afters is because I will check in with people, a year later to 2 years after they've worked with me, and I'll ask them, where are you at? And they're like, I've upheld my discipline. It's not about motivation. It's not about the goal weight they got to. It's not about the amazing body they've built. It's the fact that they have upheld discipline in their life through nutrition, through training, through sleep, through stress management, through their career path, through their relationships. We tackled everything, not just the scale. And the problem that is out there is that people keep chasing the damn scale. The scale, if it has power over you, then you will never be empowering yourself or what you want or getting to the goal because all you care about is a damn number. Anyone that is so surface level that only cares about a number is always going to lose because they are not in control. And the scale is just one tiny metric that really doesn't matter, right? Let's look at some other metrics. Let's look at how much you have lost body fat. Let's look at how much you have stayed on track. Is it 80%, 85%, or you keep falling off? Are you 50% on, 50% off? Let's look at some other metrics around your life. Have you upheld your relationships? Are you constantly getting promoted at work? Let's look at other metrics. But people are so fixated on the scale because all they care about is how much they weigh. And then they put so much value on that to the point where they then value themselves based on what the scale says. Now, if you were to ever give advice to anyone else, you would 100% say the scale does not dictate your self-worth. Because in reality, when we think like that, it makes sense. But then when we apply it to our own logic, we're too dumb to actually do it. Now, I say that because I hear it too often and I cannot shut it down any harder than that. Stop being so damn dumb about the scale. It is so stupid and is so minimal and is so surface level and it makes you look bad. So if you want to stop looking bad, then start going a little deeper than that. Start asking yourself, why do I even want a better body? Why do I even want better health? What's it for? Who's it for? Do I want to be a better version of myself? What does that look like? Does that look like someone that is capable of being more fit, being more disciplined, being more consistent, saying what I will do and then doing what I will say? All of those things are what makes you a better person, not a damn number. It's very simple. Now, in practice, it's very hard. Right? So the idea of it is simple, but the practice of it is difficult. So when you look at these before and afters, really notice, okay, this is just what someone's body has transformed into. But let's look at what happens after the after. Most of the time, and I've said this before, 99% of people will resort back to the way that they used to do things prior to the transformation because they didn't deal with the internal battles. Now, internal battles and internal struggles is what led people to be in a bad health state. So in other words, if you packed on weight, if you got unfit, if you got undisciplined, if you are inconsistent, you basically became weak-minded. That's really what happened, right? Life got in the way. You didn't adapt. You weren't resilient. You didn't have fortitude. You had no tolerance for anything. So you let yourself go. That is what happened. Then you got into a place where you're like, I don't like how I look. I hate how I feel. I need to make a change. So you made a change. And the change that you made was probably still physical. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't mental. That is one of the biggest problems that's out there. Whenever you only do a physical transformation, you will only get a physical transformation. If you do a mental and emotional transformation in addition to your physical, you'll have long-lasting results. That's where sustainability comes from. But the problem is that people don't do that approach because it's harder. The nutrition is so much discipline. The training is so easy. If you just put more attention into your nutrition, into your mindset, that you do into your training, you would have better results. The real problem out there is that people treat the gym like it's therapy, but the gym is not therapy. Therapy is therapy, okay? Dealing with the demons in your mind, sitting still, thinking about why you are the way you are is therapy. You going and moving your body and pushing weight and running is not therapy, okay? You are going through motions. That's what you're doing. You are physically exerting yourself. You're creating more stress on yourself if you actually think about it. That is what raises the cortisol, which we'll come to a cortisol topic at some other point. But you've got to understand that going to the gym, it releases good endorphins, obviously, right? It gives you that dopamine hit. That is what changes your mood. But it doesn't keep your mood changed. You have to understand this. When you go to the gym for an hour, you feel good for a short amount of time, and then life starts to kick in, and then what happens? What happened to that 1 hour of therapy? It fucking didn't last, did it? Right? Because it only lasted for an hour or two. And then for the rest of the day, you somehow turned into an asshole. Well, there's a reason for that, because you don't deal with what's going on in your mindset. So anyone that thinks that the gym and the training is everything is wrong. The gym is just one aspect. It is maybe 4 hours of your week if you go to the gym 4 days a week. Let's say that you go to the gym 5 days a week or 6 days a week because you're an avid gym goer, right? 6 hours out of your entire week is spent in the gym. What happens the other 23 hours of every day and that day that you didn't go to the gym for? What happens for that 24 hours? Let's take away 8 hours a day. So we're going to try and be a little smarter here, okay? We're going to go 16 hours of the day because 8 hours hopefully was spent, doing something where you're sleeping or you're at least in bed. And so 16 hours of the day minus that gym. So you're doing 15 hours of the day where you are in your head, in your thoughts, in your emotions, not controlling yourself, having zero discipline, having zero self-control, having zero impulse control. And you seem to think that the gym is just what gets you by. It is absolutely ignorant to believe that the gym is all you need. It is ignorant to believe that the gym is your therapy. And so if you want to save yourself, you're going to have to do some mental work. Mindset is everything. Everyone talks about mental health, but they do nothing to actually improve their mental health. Mental health is all about you sitting with yourself, trying to find some stillness, trying to ask yourself some deep questions. I love asking deep questions. I think that the harder the question that you ask yourself, where it really makes you think, it really makes you kind of look internally, the better you're going to become. That means that you're going to have to ask yourself, like, why is it that I constantly have this thought that comes up for myself? And that thought that comes up, where does it come from? When did it start? Why is it there? Right? We always have this advocate for ourselves, but we always have a critic for ourselves, and we try to ignore the critic and we try to be the advocate so we can be a positive self-talker, and that doesn't work because that doesn't last because we won't listen to the critic. Listen to the damn critic. What is it saying? Right? The more you do this, the better you're going to be. The reason why I say this is that when you look at my after the afters, because of all of the journaling that I get everyone to do, because of all the breath work that I get people to do and the stillness and the meditation and all of this like mental training, mindset work, that is why they can sustain their results. That is why they can be a better version of themselves. Not because I put them in the gym, not because I gave them a good eating program to follow. That is not what got them the results. It is all of the things that we have done internally that has helped them externally. So if you are going to be someone that is going to go on a journey, then don't just go on a surface level journey. Don't just make this physical. Make this mental, make this emotional, like really put yourself through the trenches here. That's how you're going to get the best results, but that's also how you're going to sustain them. And the secret to also sustaining results is having like the next level goal. As in, if you have a goal like of weight loss, you need to have a secondary goal to that. You might go, I want to lose 15 pounds. Great. What's the next goal after that 15 pounds? Think about it right off the bat, right? If you want to lose 15 pounds, then what? Then what? If you don't have a then what, you're going to go backwards, 100%. I haven't seen anyone go, yeah, I've got to my goal weight. And I'm like, then what? Oh, I'm just going to cruise here. No. That's not a good goal. That's a terrible goal. I'm just going to maintain here. That's a terrible goal. The whole maintenance goal is a terrible goal, right? Because what the fuck does that even mean? It means that you're not striving for anything. You are going to become complacent and comfortable and you will lose. So the next goal to you maybe getting weight loss could be, now I want to do an event. Now I want to do body composition. Instead of having this much body fat, now I want to chase this much body fat. I want to be able to squat this much. I want to be able to run this much. I want to be able to do X, Y, Z. Just create something for yourself. I want to be able to jump this high. It doesn't matter how small it is. It doesn't matter how big it is, but have something to chase next, because that's what's going to edge you forward. That's what's going to get that mountaintop that you think that you're going to reach once you reach the 15 pounds. You need to have the next mountaintop. It doesn't have to be huge, but it needs to be something, because as soon as I get a before and after with someone, they get the pounds off, the weight loss comes off, the fat loss comes off. Then I say, what's next for you? Then they go into events. So when I check in with them a year or two later, they tell me, hey, you know what? I've actually gone and signed up for this High Rocks event. I've gone and signed up for this marathon. I'm actually doing really well in business now. I've actually got a promotion in business that I've always wanted. They then actually put things into practice. And if you don't do this for yourself, you will find it's so damn hard, and you'll keep going forwards, backwards on the rat race, spinning your wheels, always starting over. So the best thing for you is to take everything that I've just told you and apply it. Think about this, write it down, because goals that are written down have a much higher percentage of actually being achieved, and you're actually going to stick to them because they got out of your head onto paper, which made it real, which means you're probably going to follow through because you actually see it there right in front of you going, I better do something about that, you know? So I really want you to take action on this, okay? Remember, guys, everything you want is on the other side of fear. So make a move, take action, because you're one decision away from a completely different life.